Good evening, ladies and gentlemen out there in YouTube land. I am Deleted Scenes, human being American and YouTube Ronin. I hear why everything is skipping because I did not turn off the sound from my other tab. I had to boomer it just once just to prove that it is actually in fact me. Alright. I'm getting off to a good start here. It's late. I am not Art Dell, and this is not Coast to Coast. I wish it was, though. It was a cool show. We have a chat. Hello. You're all wondering why you're here. I know. So am I. She of the smoldering Avatar Netters Network. Loyal Blue Ranch, the bird woman of YouTube, Connie Clary. Last call, something dark side. Wilkie's Movies and Music. The reason I know you're all really here, Sin's Corner. Joining us from the future, Sashi. Friend of the channel, JPRPH1. All right. My guests are waiting backstage, so we'll bring them on. Ladies and gentlemen, Tripicelli.
Hello.
Connie Clary.
Howdy-ho.
And Sin's Corner.
Hola.
And that was The Other Side of Midnight. Good evening, folks. Yeah, that was it. Bye-bye. Why are you still here? It's over. Go home. No, I'm kidding. That's okay. Nope. We're not getting out of this that easy.
I was literally taking a breath to compliment Sin on her necklace, and she was gone. I was like, "What happened?"
He kicked me out. You like this?
How he is?
I do.
This is most of it is little old dog tags from our fur babies that are no longer with us.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then another is the it's a little locket my brother got me. It's like half of the Winter Soldier's shield.
Oh, okay, cool.
And then the other is an anti. This might be a little bit controversial. It's an anti-routine infant circumcision symbol. So yes. So I wear it. Okay, you can make me small again.
No, we're just going to keep it like this for the rest of the show. This is.
Don't do that.
It'll boost the ratings.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah,
It might scare
I need
people
watch
away.
hours. Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
Thank
it will
you.
add to watch hours. People will tune in longer.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, see now we just lost all those extra view times. People are going out. I'm out. I unsubscribe.
Hasta nunca.
Bring the birds back in, please. No. Okay.
Sashi says, waiting for the after credit scene.
Hey, Sashi.
We'll
good to
be
be
at a
back with you
cafe
guys.
eating shawarma, you know.
Yeah.
That'll be it. All right. What did that have to do with anything? Absolutely nothing. Oh,
Right?
right. All right. Am I going to do misogynistic thing by making sense? Oh, yeah.
How terribly misogynistic.
Oh, my God. How dare he?
Oh my gosh. I swear.
Execute that deleted guy. All right. You don't get him. You don't need him. In fact, he's fired.
You're fired.
Jeez. Okay, well now we're taking over the show. No problem there. So what do we want to talk about tonight?
Do this. Okay, I don't know. What have y'all been watching lately? That's the main thing I usually talk about. Oh, sorry.
Well, unfortunately, it's all been YouTube stuff. You know, and who's on most of the time but deleted scenes? That's it. When he goes away, we talk about him.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Right?
Well, it was confirmed that I was in fact awesome earlier. So.
Who confirmed this? Did they run it by the rest of the group?
Yeah, I want receipts.
Yeah.
Well, Boomer said it, and it was his show. So.
Oh, okay.
I'll see what he says.
It's legit. It's legit.
I actually had good things to say about him because I got an invitation to be here, and I was like, this is a YouTuber who is bigger than I am, who is monetized, who's looking out for me, trying to help me out with my watch hours. I got to go on his show.
Yep.
Not just because you like to talk to him, Troy.
Well, I like to talk to you.
Oh my God! I walked into that one. Sorry.
Right.
I'm glad you guys are all here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you, deleted.
Well, anytime. Because then it would just be me by myself talking for 2 hours, and there have been streams like those, and no one watches them. So.
Well, oh, okay. I was going to say they can be fun. Yeah. The audience tunes in. I usually do a stream like that where it's just me on the anniversary of my channel every year. And it's just me just talking and just chatting with the people in the comments. So those can be fun too.
But I've been at this for 2 years now. That amazes me. It doesn't feel like it's been that long.
Wow.
Yeah. Let me see.
It's been a good while.
Sashi says, I just found out that girl who played Wednesday Addams was in Iron Man 3. Otherwise, nothing.
Really?
Was she?
Did not remember that at all. I didn't spot her. She didn't make an impression on me if she was. The only time she actually made an impression on me was the first time I noticed her as an actor in the Scream movie.
Yeah.
And then she was everywhere, of course.
Which I've not seen. And speaking of Scream movies, we're getting another one, and apparently it's retconning the last 2 films.
Well, that's the
rumor. Anyway,
the rumor. I would absolutely love that, to be honest, because the whole thing with Dewey in the 5th movie was just ridiculous. Especially when you find out who was behind the mask at the time. It's just no.
She was the vice president's daughter who was missing a leg. I do not remember this. I've seen Iron Man 3. Why am I not?
I've seen it like once. Here. I completely don't remember that either.
Yeah, I've seen it multiple times. I don't remember her being in it.
Okay.
Had to keep an eye out for it then next time.
And hello to Putin's cat. Who's the lady? Okay.
You talking about Sin, or are you talking about?
Well, we have Sin, we have Connie, and we have Netter in the background. So
and Netter, of course, is in the background saying hi.
Hi.
Hey, Netter.
Hi.
Okay, and I guess apparently Jenna Ortega was in Iron Man 3. Okay, well I have to go back and
the one that is not a bird.
Yeah.
Well, unless you're English, then she's still a bird.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh my gosh. I'm Sin. I'm from Sin's Corner, where I mostly do movie and show reviews and things like that.
It's a sinfully good show she does.
Oh my goodness.
See, I missed my calling. I should have gone into marketing.
You know, when we would go into the store or whatever, my brothers are about 10 so years younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
And they would shorten my name. They would call me Sin. But in public, they'd be like maybe behind me yelling out to me or what, hey, Sin, Sin. So, of course, it sounds like S-I-N
Yeah,
to some people.
exactly.
My mom was like so embarrassed.
Is that a mandate? I should do something sinful right now?
No, it is not. I will not be responsible for that. How was everybody's weekend?
Pretty good so far, but it's not over yet because we're
I'm
here.
busy.
That's right.
Yeah. And I don't have to go back to work until Tuesday, so technically so
You
basically
still have a weekend, yeah.
Sunday and Monday is my weekend.
Oh, cool. I'm
Yeah.
going
Your
to go
weekend.
see The Mummy and Alien on Tuesday on the big screen with my son. I've
Oh.
never seen those on the big screen, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Boomer was just talking about having just seen the Mummy again. I guess it's making the rounds again or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's on the big screen again, as well as Alien. You know, they bring back older movies now, which I think is awesome. I would
Which
love
are,
to go
I'm
see The
hearing, doing
Terminator.
better than what's being released currently.
Would not surprise me.
Right.
So yeah, that's it. I'm really looking for. I remember when The Mummy came out, and I was not regularly going to the theater at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember just like having this desire to go see it, and I never did, never got to. And so now it's like I'm gonna go see this. So we're gonna do a double feature. It's gonna be a long afternoon and evening, but it's okay.
I think Universal missed their opportunity with that movie. They really should have, if they were going to do their extended, what do you call it, Dark Universe or whatever, they should have started it with The Mummy.
Well, they
Well,
tried to.
They tried. That's
With
what I was
the-
getting ready to say.
yeah.
They
They
tried.
tried.
With the Tom Cruise version.
No, that was horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Beyond bad.
written and directed by Alex Kurtzman. What did we expect?
Oh, I didn't even know that. That makes it
Yeah.
even worse.
What else has he done? What has he done? I don't always pay attention to writers and directors.
All the new
Well-
Star Trek,
Star Trek. Yeah.
Discovery, and
those. Oh, okay.
Strange New Worlds, and all that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Isn't he also Isn't he or wasn't he also involved in those Hannibal shows?
I don't know. That was
It was either the
pretty good
Hannibal
show.
that didn't
Well-
have Clarice in it, or the Clarice show that didn't have Hannibal in it.
Okay, here's what happened. Okay,
Oh,
well
that's-
you have Brian Fuller, who did the Hannibal
He's
series.
just as bad.
He was originally going to do Discovery,
Okay.
and then somehow Kurtzman got him out of there, rewrote everything Brian Fuller had planned, and we got the show that we got. And then after that, he turned around and did basically a Hannibal Lecter series that doesn't have Hannibal Lecter in it. Because that's the thing that everybody has to remember about the Thomas Harris novels. Clarice is not the lead character of those books. Hannibal is. He's the only
Yeah.
one who's in all of them. So how are you going to do a Hannibal Lecter TV show? And oh, by the way, we can't bring him up. It's like, okay, didn't he have a Madam Web type situation where
Where you can't
everybody's got to
say-
talk?
Yeah.
They can't say, because they don't have the rights to Hannibal Lecter, the character or the name, so they can't use him. Which is kind of like what happened on Madam Web, because you're doing what is essentially a Spider-Man spin-off series, spin-off movie, where you can't mention Spider-Man, you can't say Peter Parker, you can't even say Aunt May, because and then you have Adam Scott, a perfectly decent actor, in a movie where his character cannot complete a sentence, because it's like, Well, who are you? Oh, you're dating someone. Who? What's her name?
Yeah.
You know, your sister's about to have a baby. Have you chosen the name? Yes, it's
It's I didn't realize
Yeah.
at the time that they on purpose weren't saying it because of that sort of reason. I didn't know. I
Yeah.
just noticed that they didn't come out and say it, but you knew who they were talking about.
Oh yeah, and then
Yeah.
and then you have this whole thing that's come out now because there have been because people have done videos about this where they basically rewrote all of the villains' dialogue in post, which is why it's so badly ADR'd the way it is.
Okay. Yeah.
Was because it finally hit somebody. It finally hit them after the movie was shot. Isn't this guy trying to kill 3 teenage girls problematic? And I'm like, no, that's every horror film ever made.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
What the heck?
You you have a movie coming out in a month called In a Violent Nature, which is entirely from the point of view of the killer.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I've heard
so I
about
guess
that.
that's okay. You know, but we can't have any violence in our superhero movie. I guess.
I wish they would take this attitude of, it isn't made for you, or if you don't like it, don't watch it, all this stuff, but do that in defense of actual good storytelling. Because if you did that, you'd probably have much more successful, not only a film bank, but response in the media.
Wait, this is a normal stream? Oh, damn it! I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah, I said exactly the same thing. I said, then we're not trying hard enough. Maybe we're just tired.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's gotten to the point where we need to stop catering to these yahoos, and it's kind of to some degree what I've been chatting with Pootie about here. It's that we got these idiots that this is problematic. Okay, then don't watch it. Okay, all the rest of us adults want to watch it. If it offends you, don't watch it. Or go do a blog about how terrible things are these days. But we're going to keep doing this thing regardless of what you think. Oh, you think that actress is playing into the male gaze and stereotypes? Well, too bad, because she feels pretty darn good about herself, because she's getting a lot of attention.
And
Remember when that used to be empowering for women? So which is it? It can't be both. It can't be catering to the male gaze, but it's also empowering to women.
And then she turns around and does the 2 worst movies of the year. Oh, okay.
Well, she is new. She does have to kind of pay her dues, right? But you don't hear her coming out and complaining about how men are all istophobes for not going to see her movie.
Right. You're talking about Sydney?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she actually made fun of it a little bit about. She made fun of the movie. She's establishing herself as a pretty cool chick.
Yeah.
She likes cars. She likes to work on cars. So it's like, oh my gosh, the guys love that.
Right.
So, and I don't know. I think it's interesting to see what's going on with her.
I mean, I didn't really know at all who she was until
Neither.
some stream I was on. It was probably Big Al. I'm going to pick on Big Al a little bit. He was probably, said, "Oh, she's really cute," and a bunch of people agreed. And I'm like, "Who is this girl?" And I looked her up. I'm like, "Oh yeah, she's a pretty blonde girl. Okay, yeah, I can see that." And Netter waves at me.
Hello, I'm here.
Well, she as soon as I said pretty blonde girl, she's like, "Yep, I know your type." Yeah, Pootie, you're right. There are billions of cute people out there, but there's a whole package that goes into it. You got to be attractive. You've got to have talent. You got to be able to read your lines. You've got to be convincing as an actor. And I don't even know. Maybe she's got talents we're unaware of because she's so new to the scene. Maybe she can sing. Maybe she can dance. I don't know. Maybe she's, really limber gymnast or something. I don't know. Maybe we'll see her in a bunch of action films in the future. All of those kinds of talents really, really help. If you're just a pretty face, well, the best thing you could do is go me too, me too.
Well, I believe that she, the romantic comedy that she was in earlier, anyone but you or something like that.
Yeah.
Anybody but I believe she was behind the production of that. Like, doesn't
Yeah.
she have like a company or something? Nobody,
She does.
I don't think other
Yeah.
studios or whatever were wanting to help put it out. So she did it herself. So she's not stupid.
No, not at all.
She's got some business smarts about her.
And no, Pootie, you're making an excellent point. Cute can be attached to a nut job too. Sure, Amber Heard is a very attractive woman, or she was. She's starting to look. She's starting to look like you expect someone would, living the life she's living. But she's a wackadoo. She's not that good an actress, and all she's really good at is getting attention with her assets.
Yeah, I mean, like,
What's left of them?
with me, Brie Larson, attractive woman, in my opinion.
From the ankles up, yes.
Yeah. Well, my feet are no prize either. But,
Well, no, but I mean, no one expect a guy's feet to be all that attractive.
In fact, why don't I just go on camera and show
No, everybody stop. Everybody's leaving right now. Everyone's bailing. I don't blame him. That's a joke I would have made too.
Up.
Not for the hills.
Oh, should I just show? Okay, more people are watching the show. I'll just show my feet more. Oh, is this what you
There
want to
you
see?
go. Some people do have a thing.
You
for
know what?
that.
As long as you keep your socks on, yeah, there are some people that might dig that. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yes. I have a video up that is a non-sponsored promo for an odor-reducing spray from Farmhand Tom. He put it out specifically, branding it to take advantage of the whole Amber Turd thing.
Oh, I watched
worth
that
checking out.
trial. That was crazy.
That was a circus. It really,
Well-
really was.
Well, I ended up on the panel for the Friday Night Last Call episode about it, and I'm still wondering why, because I really didn't go.
Because I didn't have that many
I didn't
friends
really
back
watch
then.
it, to be honest, and I'm like, I really didn't have all that much of an opinion on it either way, really. I just, because with me, and we were bringing this up backstage, the OJ trial, this was like the biggest trial since then. At least it seemed like it
Well-
was anyway,
Mhm.
or one of them. And I was like, why are we making this big deal out of what is essentially a nasty Hollywood divorce?
It was about
Exactly,
much more
yeah.
than that, though.
I mean,
it was.
It was.
I
it
mean,
was more, it was about more than
It
that,
was
but,
about the. I mean, he was being she was abusing him. She was a domestic
Well,
abuser.
yes.
And I was
You know,
very
yeah,
glad. I was very, very glad because I had been following stuff about this before. So, like the tapes that were released of her saying, tell the world, Johnny, that I got beat up by whatever, this very snarky ass thing she said to him. Basically,
And it was in
that-
her own words the world was being
and-
told.
Exactly. And this is the thing a lot of women know it's a weapon they can use. They know that they can just say a guy did this thing and probably most people are going to believe them. I have people in my family that have been threatened by now exes about calling the police because one of them's, he's a big muscle guy. She's this little tiny woman, with one phone call, she could have destroyed him. So I was very glad to see all this stuff being brought to light, and I was glad to see people actually waking up, because a lot of people just didn't follow the behind the scenes stuff before the trial. And for a lot of people, it was new to them. They had no idea.
Yeah.
And so I appreciated that the light was being shown on the fact that men can be and often are victims of abuse. It happens a lot more than people even realize or want to admit.
And
I
I
found
don't
myself.
I don't want to
Go
come
ahead.
off like I'm trying to make light of that or anything. It's
No, I
just
know,
that,
but a lot of people they didn't
Yeah.
know either. They didn't know all that. They're like, "Oh, why is this?" And like my boss, Jeff, at first he was like, "Ah," and then later he was like, "You know what? At first I thought it was just this stupid, fight between these two rich celebrities. I did
Right.
not realize all this other stuff that was really going on." So
And
that's
that
why
really
people were
it almost became, even though there was no big hashtag or anything like that, it almost became Men Too. It's like it was the flashpoint where people started talking about it, and now I'm seeing all these YouTubing and TikToking and now YouTubing women coming out, defending men, and there's that one, I can't remember her name, but she's mansplaining to women and women-splaining to men, and she's basically explaining different miscommunications between men, and she'll take videos TikToks that women do, trying to embarrass their boyfriends, and then she'll be like, well, this is why men are the way they are, because of women like you, kind of stuff.
yeah.
People need to get to know each other, have a strong base. Quick romances usually go away. Yeah, that's true. And I think a lot of women now are starting to react to the fourth wave feminists coming out saying, look, I love my boyfriend, my husband, my brother, my father. The men in my life are good men. And you are making the world miserable for them. Mm-hmm. Cut it out. Especially mothers with sons.
Yeah.
I want my son to be able to date a woman that he can love and trust and respect, and not always have to worry that she's going to be bullying him and holding a Me Too over his head.
Well, this is why a lot of men, the MGTOW, men going
Yeah.
their own way. This is why this happens, and I understand. I understand it.
And then, of course, the natural reaction is all the women going, "Oh, men won't date me,"
yeah.
and what's going on? Well, it may not be you personally, but a lot of women your age have done this. This is the world you now live in.
Yeah.
And if you
And
are a woman who speaks out against it, you're a pick-me girl.
Yeah, that's a strange. So one of the reasons why my channel took off
Yeah.
initially was I did a reaction to a Bill Burr stand-up routine where he was basically telling the story about his then girlfriend, now his wife, when she was physically abusing him.
Yeah.
And parts of the story were funny, but when he got to the part about talking about this physical abuse that happened, it was like a dash of cold water on me, because I know several men in my circle, in my family, that have
Sure.
been on the bad, wrong end of mistreatment, and my great uncle was killed by his crazy wife.
Yeah.
And she tried to act like it was self-defense, but the cops knew that she was full of shit, and she's in jail. She's going to be getting out soon. But anyway, whatever. So that video just really, like, for some reason, YouTube started showing it to people, and it took off, and that was basically the whole reason I got to my first 1,000, and all that. So it's certainly something that I have spoken out against often. I haven't yet been called. Well, maybe once somebody did call me a pick-me girl or something. I hadn't heard that until a while back. Or they say they have internalized misogyny.
Yeah, exactly.
They say that one too.
And the only possible response to that is no, I'm just objective and I see reality the way it is. You're
They don't-
delusional. You
Yeah.
can't help it. I understand, but I see what's going on. But you would think that after the whole Phil Hartman thing, people
Oh,
would
my
start going,
gosh.
gee, maybe sometimes,
That was terrible. That whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
anyone could be an abuser. Yeah. And in a way, and hey, Mark, how you doing? Good
Hello,
to
Mark.
see you.
Hi,
Yeah,
Mark.
that's the movie I need to do one of these days on Monday. I got to do The Room.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
hey, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark.
I don't
In
have
fact,
to worry
I-
about Lisa because Lisa loves me.
I got to take a detour here. I have customized ringtones for all the people that call me, and when Mark calls, it's a Klingon song, and Netter always goes, "Oh, hi, Mark." It's anyway, but it's even in some ways it's even worse for men because at least there is no good way to put this, right? There is never a good kind of abuse. If a man is abusing a woman and she fights back, you expect it. If a woman is abusing a man and he fights back, he's in the wrong.
Right.
Because he's bigger, he's the man. We'll assume that he started it. So he literally cannot fight back to defend himself.
Right. That's true. That's just, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, Mark. Every time, because you're on the other end of the phone, you wouldn't hear your own ringtone. Every time you call, "Koi kelesh pu glod, koi pu bek pu." Yeah, exactly. So I know it's you.
You know, one of these days you're eventually going to have to do an entire show in Klingon. You know that, right?
One of these days I might. One of these
Are
days
you
I
fluent
might.
in the language?
Not very, but I'm more fluent in Klingon than I am. I almost said in English. No, more fluent in Klingon than. No, look, I took 4 years of Spanish in high school.
I thought you
And
were going to say you took 4 years of Klingon, and I was going to be like,
I
is there
know!
really such a...
No, it's worse than that. I took 4 years of Spanish in high school, and I'm probably more fluent in Klingon than I am in Spanish.
Oh, gosh.
I would pay good money just to hear you do the stream in Klingon.
It might be a challenge because I don't think always in Klingon. Klingon is okay, so for those of you, I'm assuming most of the audience knows, but for those that don't, Klingon, of course, we're talking the Klingons from Star Trek, fictional beings with Chicha. Yes, exactly. So it's a constructed language. It's a created language by a linguist, Dr. Mark Okrand. And the syntax is very, very different. They deal with, you want to talk pronouns? Pronouns are completely different in Klingon. Conjugation, you don't conjugate verbs. There's suffixes and there's prefixes depending on, if it's what part of speech, who is speaking, about whom. It's a whole different language. The order, the subject verb order is completely different. It's interesting. And then I'll always have people coming up to me and asking me, "Oh, I heard you speak Klingon. How would you say such and such in Klingon?" And it's usually some sort of an idiom. And I'm like, well, that depends. I can translate it literally for you, but that would have no meaning in Klingon. What is it you're trying to say? If you're trying to say like a bat out of hell, well, Klingons wouldn't have a word for bat or hell. Because Grethor is their version of hell, but it doesn't mean the same thing. And there aren't specific creatures like a bat that would be coming out of Grethor. I've learned more about linguistics in general from learning Klingon than anything else.
That's funny.
It's been an interesting experience.
I would like to just to pick it up on the language.
I'm sorry, what was that, Connie? I was reading
I
the
would
chat.
like to learn it, to learn the language.
So probably the best thing to do would be go ahead and pick up Conversational Klingon or Power Klingon. There's a couple of audio tapes that were put out by Simon & Schuster. You would probably also want like the Klingon dictionary, some of the other books that were put out by them. But the best resource, if you're really, really serious about learning the language, Klingon Language Institute, KLI.org. Those are the guys that the Star Trek writers go to when they need dialogue written in Klingon.
Oh my.
Yeah. And I found that this is the one thing I will say about modern Star Trek, the Discovery and all that kind of stuff. The people that played the Klingons in Star Trek Discovery were so good with the fans and took their roles as Klingons so seriously. They really went after speaking Klingon correctly. Better than anyone before them. Better than, Michael Dorn. And Klingon speakers cringe when they watch Next Generation and hear them pronouncing Klingon on that show. I failed at Japanese and I don't meet many Klingons, so I'll pass. Yeah, well, that's fair. Yes, the thing about learning a language is if you're not going to use it, and the thing is that Mark and I have often gone to the annual Klingon language meetings here in the States, so there are people there who literally take it so seriously they will only speak Klingon that weekend while they're there. And someone else from the Klingon Language Institute will go around with them in case people need translations. But it's a challenge. They've taken up the challenge to speak only Klingon. And it's good for people that are learning the language because it gives them an opportunity to, first thing you learn how to say in Klingon is repeat that so that you can get them to say it over again and listen, and then you start to parse it out. And, it really is a great way to learn the language. Grithor is where the dishonored go when they die. Yeah, exactly. It's not quite the same as hell. It's got a similar connotation. James Doohan did come up with the basic sounds for the motion picture, and then they went to Mark Okran and said, okay, can you take these words, use those phonetics to come up with a whole language? And he's like, okay. Oops,
but to,
excuse me, sorry.
Go back to what Putin's Cat had brought up here, mentioning both the Japanese and Klingons. There was, and I don't know how close they ever got to actually making the movie. There was a Star Trek script entitled, I believe it was Planet of the Titans, where they were going to have Toshiro Mifune as a Klingon.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. It's too bad that didn't happen because he would have made a great Klingon. Yeah. It's too bad.
Yep. Yep. Anyway, I'm sorry I completely hijacked your show to talk about
And hello to Tim Herod. First time I'm seeing you in the chat. Hope you're enjoying the show. Please hit the like, about the stream, all that good stuff. This is Klingon for where's the bathroom is Okay.
I'll take your word for it.
No, he's absolutely right. I mean, he spelled it out phonetically, but
Oh.
Nuk dak o puch pa. That's how it's pronounced.
Just, last two things I saw Mifune, and we were probably 1941 in Shogun. Well, I'm trying to remember how many years passed between Shogun and when he passed, because I don't think it was too long after. Yeah, he was for those who are not in the know, he was Lord Toranaga in the original Shogun, which I highly recommend everybody go back and see. It is on Blu-ray and you can find it. It is available, but not streaming anywhere. And you think it would be now that there's now that the new series is so popular, and I need to sit down and see the remake because I'm hearing a lot of good things about it. So
yeah. Same.
Yeah. problem with any language is once you get past the grammar and basics, there are 10,000 words to memorize. Yeah. Sashi says, and remember, Klingons, Sashi said this and not me. Blame him.
I agree.
Klingon sounds like
I
he back
agree
off
with
into a hairball.
Yeah, actually, I have found that when you're trying to get the pronunciation, someone that can help you very well is someone who is fluent in Hebrew.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, here it is. Sorry, I just had to grab something up off the shelf here real quick. Richard Chamberlain Shogun, yes, which I happen to have the Blu-ray of right here. And
I didn't know they put it on Blu-ray.
They did, and well, clearly, and yeah, and I actually had and I've been looking for it for ages. I need to go through my house and start looking through stuff. I had a VHS version of this. That was like a box set, like a huge box set.
How,
and it was
how
like
many episodes, like, how many nights did that run? I remember when it was on.
It was quite
Never
lengthy.
saw it, though.
I'm trying to I think the original was 10 parts as well.
Okay.
It doesn't say here, but
An hour and a half each?
Oh, thereabouts, yeah. Let me see if it says on here. I have trouble reading the writing. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so it's 3, 6, 9. So it's like, it's 9+ hours altogether without commercials.
Pretty lengthy.
And it was. But I mean, a miniseries, that's, it wasn't what passes for miniseries these days, where it's just this, 6 or 8 episode season.
Right.
These things would go on for a few weeks. You had Shogun. Centennial is another one. The Thornbird. They called Richard Chamberlain the king of the miniseries because he was in them all.
I remember he was, he was big back in the day.
And like I said, that Centennial, the Thornbirds, he was in the original Bourne Identity.
I
which
guess
was
I'd forgotten about that.
Which was actually closer to the book than the Matt Damon movies have jack to do with the books. Completely, aside from a couple of character names, completely made up storyline.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I haven't read the books.
But the Richard Chamberlain movie is closer to what the books were. At that point.
I thought it was Gunwale too.
Yeah. And hello to Anthony. Did you watch my interview with
Have Cheetah's Will View?
Have Cheetah Will View, yeah.
Yeah, he's asking that from my channel because we were both on Have Cheetah Will View. He did interviews with me and then later with him.
Hold on. Yeah, I remember Shogun because the Japanese called the white dude Anjin-san. Yeah, that's the name they had for him. In Malay, the word for dog is anjing, so it's stuck in my head.
I bet it would.
80 Shogun was at 5 2-hour episodes, something like that. It went. I remember it going on for a while, but then again, 1980. I was a kid. I didn't have that kind of sense of times. Oh, okay, this show is on now, and I just got used to it. So I remember it being longer than it probably was. Let me see. Poon's Cat also says 1980s on DVD. Cool. The ending was more emotional than the FX version. Yeah, those characters go through a lot. I don't know what they do with the FX version, but even in the original version, even like the side characters had their own subplots going. You know, it was pretty dense. A lot of characters to go through. But yeah, the new one I need to see. Mark says, I'm finding I prefer the original, although I found the reboot interesting. The FX version had more less sex. Interesting for FX. I thought it would be the opposite direction with them, but yeah, they had to cut around some bits when they showed it on TV originally in the 80s. So yeah,
I have not yet seen the new one, but the one commentary that I saw that has me certainly wanting to see it, and I've recommended this this YouTuber on my channel many times, the Metatron. He's a big history buff, so he of course was reviewing it for historical accuracy, and he was saying he was well and truly pleased with not only honoring the source material, but honoring the history that source material is based on. And welcome, Boosh.
Yes, indeed. Says, I liked Shogun on FX except the finale. FX branches out into more characters and plot lines. Yeah, the original version did that. I know the FX version has a plot line involving Toranaga's son that I don't think was in the original miniseries either. But, you know, you also got to go back and remember that it was based on a book by James Clavell. And that even the 1980 miniseries, for as extensively as it goes into the plotline, doesn't cover everything that's in the book. So, because the book is quite massive. I think it's like 800 pages long or something. It's pretty extensive.
Very big.
Yeah. Even Bill Burr talked about the FX. Yeah, there's supposed to be a clip about him talking about Shogun. I haven't seen it yet. Was world building is fantastic. Does I find FX probably more realistic for Japan 1600, but it does honor the book. But does it honor the book? I haven't honored the book. I have no idea. Well, based on what I know about Clavell, he was a guy who really did his research. So I would think it's probably about as close as he could get. The book in the 80s show follow Blackthorn. FX follows other characters. Oh. Yeah, I have Shogun on VHS that my Uncle Mike gave me. Yeah, I have the VHS as well. I gave it to my dad. But it played to an American audience in 1980. Yeah. But that's the thing that's cool about Shogun is that you don't have to like throw in diverse characters just to do it. You already have diverse characters.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Of course, you have the people who you have to go back and completely reshoot this. There are no black people. I go, it's Japan in the 1600s.
Yeah.
No.
Well, and sorry, that was one of the things that Metatron kind of focused on was that, and he says, well, let's take a walk through it. And he said, if this was really something important to you, this is what would have been necessary. And one of the things he points out is the primary story is about some sailors washing up in Japan. So he said, yeah, if you had enough survivors of that ship, some of them, could have been black, but there weren't that many. So, maybe not.
That was that works too. Yeah, but wanted to let me preface this by saying I didn't hate the movie, but I did have issues with the ending. Was The Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Oh yeah.
Now I'm not upset over the fact, and I'm going to be spoiling the movie a little bit here. I'm not upset by the fact that they had a black guy on board the ship.
No, it actually makes a lot of sense, really.
It could have happened. It doesn't necessarily bother me that he could have survived Dracula and what happened. Okay, possible. It's not in the book, but okay. But that's just it. That's not in the book.
Right.
Where were they planning on going with that ending?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if anybody here has seen the movie or not. But
I've seen it. I
like.
was not overly impressed with it.
I was
Honestly,
with it until those last few minutes.
I
And then
kind
was
of
like, I don't know.
Yes, Boosh, he was a doctor.
Yeah.
He was adopted.
I kind of feel like it's almost like they were intending to go off on a tangent spin-off, where the survivors become some other vampire hunters or something like that. I don't know.
That's what it.
Well, there was
like,
only one survivor. That was him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And if I recall, in Dracula there were no survivors. That was part of
In the
what
Demeter,
made
there were.
that was part of what made it so, gruesome.
Mm-hmm. But
I
in
assumed
the end,
all of them were going to die based on what I knew.
Yeah.
But no.
And then it's essentially an alien movie on board this ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I was like, okay, this kind of works for me, And the guy that got to play Dracula is the guy who's in Pan's Labyrinth as well, who's the faun.
That big guy.
And he's
also
the guy. He's also in Wreck,
guy.
where he's the creature in the in the attic. Because he's and I'm not trying to hack on the guy, but he's kind of
too, I think.
He may have been.
He
Yeah.
was.
Well, I know Doug
the
Jones
fish
is
guy.
in Shape of Water. The fish. No, I thought Doug Jones was the fish guy.
Yeah, that's who I'm talking about. Who are you talking about?
I'm talking
talking
about
about
the
the
guy who's in
Dracula
Last Voyage of Demeter. Yeah.
Wait,
that's
who did
a
he
different
play
guy.
in? I thought Doug was also the faun. I thought Doug was the faun and the guy with the eyeball. I thought he played.
Oh,
both,
I'm sure he was one of them, but I think they had different people for both. I could be wrong, but anyway, the guy that I'm thinking of is he's very tall. He's very skinny, very skinny, creepily skinny.
Yeah, actually, it was.
Look at him.
Doug Jones played the faun and the creepy hand guy in
That's what I thought.
Pan's Labyrinth.
Oh, okay.
He's usually the one playing all the tall, thin creatures in just about everything. He also plays Saru in Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah. And I'm willing to bet he's probably the best part of that show, isn't he?
if you're just focusing on him as an actor, yeah, but his character's gotten kind of insufferable. But you got to blame that on the writing.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way. He's from a race that should not be a part of the Federation because, there's the whole Prime Directive thing, right? His race is a race of essentially sentient cows. They exist to be eaten by other races. That's the story in Star Trek Discovery. That's real Star Trek for you.
Yep.
I'm not a big Trekkie, so I'm just a casual fan.
Even casual fans would look at Star Trek Discovery and go, ugh, this doesn't seem anything like Kirk and Spock.
I was just about to say, yeah, that's okay. The people who are making new fans either. Clearly.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, it's true. Sin, you could probably write a better Star Trek episode as a casual fan than the people that are actually writing Star Trek Discovery.
Is Discovery the one that has that chick from The Walking Dead?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was halfway interested to watch it, and then she opened her mouth and yapped some nonsense, so I lost all interest in watching.
Yeah, the whole marketing strategy on Star Trek Discovery was hardline DEI, BS. And if you're not into that, then you're not a real Star Trek fan, because Star Trek has always been progressive, and screw all of you. It's like, okay. I mean, this is the same show that decided that it would be cool to show people in wheelchairs. And it's like, so the Enterprise is wheelchair accessible now, even though we never saw them in anything else, and we probably are advanced enough to be able to fix spinal injuries. Just saying.
Well, I was just what you mentioned there reminded me of something that I recently saw. It's a animated series that's coming out on Disney Plus. I'm not supposed to talk or say anything like a public review about it, but it's coming out on Disney Plus on a certain day very soon. And there was some dialogue in there that I say in my review, because I'm only doing an audio review for it, but I mentioned something like, nothing screams, I was made in the 2020s louder than the insertion of they, them pronouns in the middle of an episode.
God.
Yeah. It just happened a little bit, but it was like, oh, okay, you told me this is a perfect time capsule for when this thing came out.
Right.
Jesus. So it just reminded me that we were talking about, now the Enterprise is wheelchair accessible. Like
Sashi makes a great point, because this whole idea of a black alert comes up in Star Trek Discovery, and yes, that would mean for an international audience, you would have to translate that into Spanish, which would then be triggering to all the rest of the Western English-speaking world.
Yes, because they don't realize that that's the actual word in Spanish. They think it's a slur. It's an actual word that means black, and it's not a slur.
Basically uses Doug Jones in the first part of Space Command. Cool. I have not seen Space Command, so I can't.
I have not
speak
either.
to it.
Yeah, same here.
They regenerated Worf's spine on TNG, so yeah.
Yep.
Says paralysis was not an issue.
Well,
TNG.
yeah, they completely reconstructed his entire spine, but it was implied that if he'd been human, they could have mended the spine, but the construction of a Klingon spine, it's just, it was just so shattered. They were going to use this new, essentially a biological replicator, and they were going to replicate a new spine for him, and then it's the logical evolution of their technology, right? If you've got the ability to replicate things and you've got the ability to transport things, then why couldn't you replicate a spine, transport the old spine out, transport the new one in, and that's exactly what they did.
Thing is, with the transporter, you should be able to fix anything that rips you apart and put you back together.
And that actually ends up becoming a writing device. You know, it works when we want it to work. It doesn't work when we don't want it to work. But don't think too hard about those transporters, because are they really ripping you apart and putting you back together, or are they ripping you apart and creating a duplicate of you in another place?
Well,
that's an
how they wound up-
existential
yeah.
head screw. Yeah.
That's how they wound up with the other Riker, right?
Well, no, the other Riker was they through their technobabble, they said that the signal that is sent when you are going from one place to another was partially echoed back. So he did make it back to the ship, but an echo of his transport beam was kind of sent back, making a duplicate of him. And then he's standing there going, they forgot about me. And then he was left there for a decade before he's found again by the Enterprise. And then they realize, oh, well, now there's another Riker who lived another life. And Thomas Riker was the name he finally ended up taking, because he took the middle name. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's you don't. When you start getting into this much detail, it gets very existential and very creepy. Because then there's the Voyager episode where Tuvok and Neelix got combined into a single entity, and then Tuvix, and then in order to get him separated, he was going to have to go back through the transporter. And the existential problem is, but I am a separate being and I deserve to live. I should not have to be killed so that you can separate me back into... I did not like that episode. That's just weird and strange and gross and... yeah, in a way it was kind of like Riker's lore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say, that brings up another thing. You brought up lore. Those of you that watched any of that Picard series, the first 2 seasons were just crap. But the 3rd season, the showrunner for that did a great job. He obviously cared about lore, Star Trek lore, not the character lore. And went back and did things with the character of Data, B4, lore, Lal, that seemed to have been completely ignored in the 2nd season when they were dealing with Data. And I don't know. All the old fans are looking at the 3rd season of Picard and saying, "Yeah, now this is Star Trek." You know, they're doing the same kind of thing that a lot of fans of Star Wars did when they saw like Rogue One or even the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian. You know, it's like, okay, this feels more like someone actually cares about writing a good story and not stepping on continuity.
Yeah, I heard
Okay,
that,
I'm going to bring up...
I heard that happened with the later season of Picard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What were you going to bring up?
So I'm going to bring up a funny story, and I don't know who all here, either on in the panel or in the chat, knows this. But I was actually going to be in a review roundtable for Picard.
Oh.
It was going to be myself. It was going to be Paulie, Mexican Iron Man, and Culture Casino.
Okay.
And I know you're all like, but gee, Steve, what happened to this potentially brilliant YouTube series? Well, it didn't happen. We shot 2 episodes of it, and then we stopped.
Because you just couldn't watch it anymore?
Because nobody wanted to go on.
You should at least air those. Did you air them?
Yeah.
Well, that's up to
Paulie?
up to them. I guess it was.
Was it on Paulie's channel?
Yeah, wasn't it
I don't think we had actually decided on whose channel it was going to be on. It was
okay.
it was a kind of a Mexican Iron Man operation, and I went into it because I was like, I volunteered to go on because I was hearing all of this stuff about the show, and I essentially wanted to go in and be comic relief, basically. You know, and yet I was the one who said, I was like, once more into the Breachmen, and then they're like, no, we're done. It's not happening. And I'm like, okay. That was kind of something I've been.
It's a shame you guys didn't go back to that and do that for season 3, because season 3 was actually pretty good. Let them know if they do decide to do anything with season 3. Have me on, because I diehard Star Trek fan that actually thought season 3 was actually pretty good. I'll tell you what, another thing I will say that was really good about season 3 of Picard, it was very clear that the showrunner and the writers were also trying to honor the expanded universe, because they drew a lot from the Star Trek Online computer game, from several of the books, basically going around and taking good stuff that fans liked that actually made sense and using those story elements and not in like a shoehorn kind of a way, in a very organic kind of a way. So I love that we find out in Picard that we learn the Federation isn't so benevolent as we would think. Yeah. There are, but not in that, Star Trek Discovery, they're all evil because they're the government type thing. It's just like we always did in Next Gen, where you find out, some of these admirals, not quite as benevolent as you might think. Some of these sections of Starfleet maybe don't have everybody's interests at heart, There's always been stories like that, and it was always on the heroes to say, no, this is wrong. This is not what Starfleet is about.
Yeah, they do seem to have this issue with sort of like these rogue officers from the time.
Because if we're being realistic,
even the original series,
even the best governments, right? If what is it? I'm getting tired, so I'm having a hard time remembering my quotes. But the cost of freedom is eternal vigilance. If you create government of the people, by the people, and for the people, and the people check out, well, then the bureaucrats take over, and we end up where we are now. And that would be true with Starfleet as well. If you don't have, if the only thing necessary for evil to succeed is that good men do nothing. Right? So if Picard were to see, you're going around blowing up Cardassian ships when we're at a detente with them, I'm just going to look the other way. No, you don't do that. You don't look the other way. You go, no, that's wrong. You're going to start a war. You're going to pay for your crimes. Oh, and by the way, Cardassians, as he blew those ships up, we found you were transporting weapons. So we'll be keeping an eye on you, too.
Space Command is a fan-funded sci-fi that Mark Zicree is working on. Doug Jones, Nichelle Nichols, Robert Picardo, Mary Ferlin, Bill Mooney, Armin Shimmerman are all in it.
Yep. Now I remember it. Yeah. I had actually forgotten Mira Furlan was in it. God rest her soul. She was so sweet.
Yeah.
She had the nicest smile. She really did.
How old was she when she passed?
She wasn't old. I want to say it was cancer, but I can't remember exactly. Mira Furlan, of course, Bill Mummy, and I met a number of others at the same con. It was mostly the stars of Babylon 5. And cute little story, as we were going down the line getting autographs from everyone, we got to Mira Furlan, and Netter had all the photographs to be autographed. And she was confused when she saw Mira Furlan because her character, has the, bald head with the bone crown or whatever. And she's like, help me out. I don't see her. She goes, oh, there I am. Takes the picture to sign. She goes, oh, I didn't recognize you with hair. And she starts laughing. Right next to her is Peter Jurasik, who played Londo. He's like, what's going on? And she said she didn't recognize me with hair. He burst out into that big Londo laugh of his. He thought that was so funny. She says, Netter says, I'm sorry, I don't watch the show very avidly, but my husband's a big fan of yours. She didn't know if I was or not, but she said it to her. And she looked up at me with this beautiful smile, and I'm like, well, if I wasn't a fan before, I definitely am now.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like a West Nile virus kind of situation.
Oh, was that what it was? Yeah, it was
Very
pretty
sad.
sudden.
Yeah.
It was very sudden,
Yeah.
so I didn't know for sure.
Yeah. That's the sad thing about watching Babylon 5 now is there's so
many
many
of them.
gone.
Yeah.
So young too.
She suffered
It's
from
just-
complications of the West Nile fever.
Yeah, it was West Nile. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Maybe they can retroactively call it COVID. I'm sure there's people that would like to.
Oh,
They
she
probably
could get
would.
killed by mosquitoes.
I wouldn't be
Yeah,
surprised.
you can get it by not wearing a mask and standing less than 6 feet away from somebody. Apparently.
It was Son Nichols' last performance. He filmed it at her home, I think. All right. Well, okay, folks. Space Command. Track this down. Check it out. We'll see what the.
Man, but you're right. Babylon 5, we've lost Mira Furlan, we lost Jerry Doyle, Richard Biggs, Andreas Katsoulis also, who played the Romulan Tomalak in Star Trek.
Yeah.
Stephen Furst,
Sinclair's gone. Michael O'Hara.
Michael O'Hara, yeah. Oh my gosh, I'd forgotten that one. Richard Mole.
Jeff
Yeah.
Conaway.
Oh, Jeff Conway. How could I have
Yeah.
forgotten? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm bummed now, man.
Yeah. I know.
Find a happy topic. We need a white pill.
Okay.
Hey, here's a white pill for you. Claudia Christian and Tracy Scodges are still with us. Pamela Tallman.
Yeah.
There we go.
And just Tommy. Yeah. So yeah, that's a plus.
You know. So that's something.
All right. Yeah.
Ah, Andreas Katsoulis, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, John,
Yeah,
we just got somebody in the community, Mr. Matchstick. A Boomer and I suggested Babylon 5 to him. He binge watched the entire series. And we would get these, about a month, every month or so, we'd get a DM from him saying, I've gotten this far, and he's making predictions about the coming seasons, and we'd be like, sorry, no spoilers. I don't remember. But he obviously really, really liked the show.
How many seasons did it run for?
It ran for 5 seasons,
Five.
but there were also like made-for-cable movies that were like prequel and sequel, and then they went into
It's
a spin-off series called
Crusade.
Crusade, right. Remember, Babylon 5 was loosely inspired by Tolkien. You know, the what do you call it? The elves and the Morgoth and all of that kind of stuff, just with aliens instead. And of course, Crusade focused on, like, you know, Strider and the Watchers, those kinds of guys. You know, they had those kinds of ranger characters. That's what they were called, the Rangers.
Yeah.
Whose job it was to go out into the into the expanse and watch for the return of the shadows and whatnot.
Do you feel like it was that it ended on a solid note, or did it fall off at the end?
If we're just talking about Babylon 5 itself and maybe the movies, I'd say it's fine. I didn't have a problem with Crusade, but it seemed really unnecessary. So it was kind of weak.
Okay.
But
Yeah, it was kind of like the further adventures of, but in the original series they had already kind of explained what happened later.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I mean, Crusade was fun, but you really didn't need it.
Right. The important thing to remember is with the first 5 seasons, J. Michael Straczynski had planned out the entire 5-season arc. Now, admittedly, about midway through, the network sent him into a tizzy because they said he was canceling and he had to wrap it up. So he tries to wrap it up, and it's very clunky. And then they're like, no, we're going to keep going. So then he had to reboot it, and so it took a little while to get going again. I think that's part of why he wants to go back and reboot it. For that reason, as well as the fact that even from the beginning, what he had in mind got thrown for a tizzy because the main actor had some mental health problems, had to pull out. That's why Bruce Boxleitner came into it. So a lot of the things he had planned, he couldn't do, or he had to do in different ways. And I think he just wants to tell the story straight the way he had originally planned it. But honestly, it turned out so good. This is an example of this is the problem that I have with J.J. Abrams. He's the anti J. Michael Straczynski. He makes this crap up as he goes, and he has no idea what he's doing. Whereas J. Michael Straczynski had a 5-season arc, and when he got thrown for a loop multiple times, he bobbed and weaved and was still able to make it work. You know, I would say even George Lucas, who would claim that he had it all planned out, he had rough outlines planned out, and he filled in the details as he went. But Straczynski knew what he was doing from the beginning. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Is John says
I just got.
I haven't.
Yeah,
seen
what's
it.
What's it called? It's called. I got it right here. In fact,
I've got it over here too. Yeah.
The Road Home. Yeah, I've got it. I have not yet watched it. But I want to. I really do.
Yeah, I got it right here myself on this is the 4K. I mean, that was a kind of a good way to bring all of the characters back, because this is an animated film, and
right.
That way you can bring back, even the characters that are unfortunately no longer with us. It was something else. Mark says Bester was a fun character. Yeah.
Yes.
See,
I agree.
Walter Koenig play a villain. That was you go.
I'm not sure if I'd say villain, but definitely an antagonist.
Yeah,
for sure.
I thought he did a great job on it.
Yeah, and it's good to see people that you've seen play, always heroic characters. Every now and again, play a villain. It's your reminder that this person knows how to act. Yeah, I get what John is saying. Susan Ivanova missing from the season 5 was a bit of an issue for me, though. I like that character. I agree with you 100%. I don't remember what the behind the scenes was on that, but yeah.
Do I need to go back and watch?
Claudia Christian is just, I liked her so much, They couldn't agree on the contract. I'm not surprised that's what it was. Yeah. I get it.
Okay.
And I'll tell you,
I don't.
huh?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and if you are planning out a 5-year thing and all of your characters are important, then you probably want to plan out that 5 years. Say, look, I'm signing you on to a 5-year contract. I need you through the whole thing. Agree to it, or I get somebody else, because I'm not going to change in mid-river.
Mm.
But he didn't do that.
But yeah, anybody who's not yet seen Babylon 5, go for it. I don't know if it's still on HBO Max or not. But if you get a chance to see it, it's out there. There are physical copies. Buy the box sets. Go for it. It's
it's streaming right now on Tubi.
Yeah.
And on Roku.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there's no excuse. Go check it out. You can check it out for free.
Yep.
It is very well worth it. I would say it's a master class in long story arcs. You know, I mean, in a lot of ways, I would say that I would compare J. Michael Straczynski and how he treated Babylon 5 to George R.R. Martin if he had completed his Song of Ice and Fire. If he had completed it, I would have said very similar. Somebody who writes tiny little details early on that have big payoffs at the end, you know? Yes,
No,
Sin has a channel, and you should
Yeah,
definitely be following her.
I do. Sin's Corner. Just Sin's Corner.
Sin does great reviews, sometimes even great deep dives on films. Very, very intelligent, well thought out, and she's pretty.
Oh, I appreciate that. Sometimes I don't feel like my reviews are thought out. It's just kind of like I'm going with my gut, how things came across to me, and I don't know. It's not scripted. I just take notes, and then I tend to go on and on because I like
That's
to talk
kind
about...
of very refreshing in terms of reviews, though. Let's be honest.
Some people get on my case about that, but some people said they do like that, and I don't have time to do scripted, so...
Yeah.
And I just like to talk about stories, so there you go. Those are my thoughts.
And to go back to Babylon 5 for a moment, when we say, when we talk about how detailed it is, we're not kidding. There are things that are like that's in season 1 that seem like throwaway lines.
Yes.
But
That
they mean
come
something.
back. Oh, yeah. You know.
I've heard The Expanse is good as well. I haven't seen either of these shows, so...
The Expanse personally kind of lost me.
It was too expansive.
For a couple of well, yeah, but for a couple of reasons.
I would post it, Putin's cat, but I can't. When I remark on here, it's only going to my channel's chat, so I can't post it like through StreamYard.
I'll take care
Maybe
of it.
I'll go to Deleted's channel and just do it myself. Sorry, go ahead. I interrupted.
Yeah, you do have a wrench. No worry.
I do, yeah.
No, what I was going to say about The Expanse was it kind of lost me in season 2 because, and maybe this was just a mistake on my part because I get that it's an ensemble show. I latched onto Thomas Jane's character.
Oh, Thomas Jane is in that?
Yeah, some of it. And
I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
Now Netter's going to want to see it.
And I like the whole... I like that whole noir detective thing that they were doing with this character. And without going into spoilers for people who haven't seen it. I don't like where they ultimately went with this character. That kind of soured me on the show. That and the author of the books got kind of shitty with me once on Twitter while I was trying to defend him.
Wow.
Oh,
To the point where I just went, oh well,
oh, this is a turn off. Yeah.
fuck you then, and I'll move on. And based on what I've heard, I apparently didn't miss too much. It has its fans. If it does, great. Is that I don't feel the need to go back to it after season 2.
Is it still playing? Is it still on?
I don't know.
Okay.
It was as of the last time I watched commercial television, but that was 2018. So
Oh, The Expanse is that old?
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
Wow. Feels like it was just the other day I was hearing about it. Okay.
Let's be honest though. There's a lot of shows that people are starting to watch now that have been out and done and over because I think a lot of people are starting to look back for good entertainment.
Yeah.
and hello to the Clue channel.
Hey, Clue. Good to see ya.
Hi, Clue.
And Putin's Cat says The Expanse had a short 6th season a couple of years back. I mean, they do have plenty of source material to go because I think the books are still continuing as well. So
Yeah.
we'll see. Sashi says The Expanse has its moments. It does. Just, in my opinion, not enough of them. Putin's Cat says I like Warrior on Max as well. Yeah, I've heard some good things about Warrior. I haven't seen it. And says wasn't there some behavior issue with the main character of The Expanse? I don't know. I guess it depends on who you consider the main character, which was another issue I had with it because there was so much going on that show. Like I said, I was probably focusing on the wrong things. The Expanse probably did space physics better than any show. I'll give it that.
Mm-hmm.
It stuck to its science. It didn't cheat on it. Because that was part of the storyline. Yeah.
I did like that Babylon 5 kind of handled physics in a way that most sci-fi didn't at the time. When you have these ships that are flying and in order to turn around, they use thrusters to spin around 180 degrees, and they're still moving in the same direction until they decelerate and start going again. I was like, that's pretty cool. That's the way it would be.
Mm-hmm. All right. So you had brought up something earlier there a few minutes ago, and I wanted to expound on, but I went off on my Expanse rant there. So
Oh, I forgot what it was.
I
What
forgot what I was going to say. Damn it.
I don't even know what I
Okay.
was talking about a few minutes ago.
It's like saying I was going to say something. I started to say something, but I don't remember what it was because I wasn't
Right.
listening.
For Babylon 5, my mom actually put it on VHSs, the whole 5 series,
Oh, wow.
and it has even the commercials in them.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Talk about a time capsule.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is true. Oh, my
What
goodness,
was I-
this is true.
And yeah.
Oh, I have some things to say about Monarch. Yeah.
Go
Well,
for it.
and that is
Oh, no,
the
I mean,
biggest...
in my review, I'll rant. I rant in my review. Sorry, but I know exactly what he's saying. They just a lot of times things can get started off so good, and you get so hyped and excited, and then they just just take a dive.
Well, the biggest problem is the networks, monkeying around in your narrative on TV shows. David Lynch had a big problem with it. This is something that Deleted Scenes and I are talking about from time to time on live from Sparkwood on Sparkwood and 21. Every Tuesday, 7:30, 8:30 Eastern.
8:30.
But in fact, this is why after 2 seasons of Twin Peaks, when he did his prequel film, Fire Walk with Me, the very opening, there you go, the very opening scene is somebody smashing a television. Because there was a lot of things about Twin Peaks that he was kind of forced into doing because of the networks. One of them was wrapping up the story of who killed Laura Palmer. He intended that mystery to go on and not fully be solved. And when they forced him to do that, it took a lot of the wind out of the series, which is why season 2 kind of sputters before they canceled at the end of season 2. I still think, Stephen, that last episode, well, the previous to last episode that we watched, where Josie, I don't know, died of a broken heart. I mean, I think she was really, the original script probably had her self-deleting. And the network was like, well, no, we can't show that. Okay, well, then one of the guys has to shoot her. No, we can't have that. Okay, she'll just die for no reason. I honestly think that's how it went. And everyone just chalks it up to, well, that's just David Lynch being quirky David Lynch. That's like, no, that's not me being quirky. That's the networks.
I think you're probably right, because standards and practices wouldn't have allowed a scene like that. Even when you're dealing with a show that goes into the subject matter that Twin Peaks goes into, and it does go into some dark places.
Yep.
Very dark places.
I mean, that whole line.
At the same time, you can't have Harry shoot her, because there's going to be, what kind of an ending would that be? And then
it would be a perfect pivot into the next episode.
It really would. And you can't have Cooper shoot her, because then Harry would never forgive him for that. And because you're kind of breaking up that part.
I disagree. One of those three, it either has to be self-deletion, Harry, or Cooper. Pick one and live with the consequences. That's good storytelling. Let the story play out.
But,
as it is, none of those happens, and you're like,
no.
The fuck? You know?
Yeah. But, I'm trying to take into account. Okay, I have this thing that I refer to as intent. This is why I could never see myself adapting a screenplay from like a book or a TV show or anything, because I get stuck on, okay, what was the intent of the original writer?
Right.
I know if I'm writing my own original work, I understand what the intent of what I am writing. I cannot second guess what the writer of that episode was going for. Yeah. Maybe the original scene was she does shoot herself after.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, they went, nope, we can't do that.
That clearly does seem to be the intent, right?
Maybe maybe they went through that process that we just went through of, okay, Does she self-delete? Should Harry shoot her? Should Cooper shoot her? Should Eckert get a shot off at her? You don't know. He might be armed. We don't know.
That would have been a great way to circumvent all of this.
Yeah. Just have them.
And that would have
shoot.
been that's a missed opportunity, yeah.
You know,
Didn't even think of that. That's actually very clever, Stephen.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, thank you.
That's right, Connie. You've been there with us the whole time. You've
Yeah.
been following along.
And,
Had you
know,
watched Twin Peaks before we started doing it?
I watched it when it first came out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
because the other thing, we should go back over this during the show. It is
Yeah.
Is they so build up the Thomas Eckert character, David Warner's character, and you get someone with the stature of David Warner who you know can do evil, who can do the guy played the devil once.
Yes.
You know, he can do evil, you know. And they so build up his character to, okay, well, you know, there's this shady guy in the background. Okay, it's Thomas Eckert. Thomas Eckert's on his way. Here comes Thomas Eckert. Holy shit, Thomas Eckert is here. You
Yeah.
know, and what kind of damage is he going to, you know, how much havoc is he going to wreck on the town, you know?
Yeah,
And
and,
then,
he's in
you
like
know,
3 scenes and then he gets shot.
And that's it. You know, I didn't realize it until we were watching it this time around, how very little of the show he's actually in.
Yeah.
You know, and as I remember, in my mind, that was such a bigger part
Right.
than it actually is. Really, anybody could have played him.
Right.
in
But the
the end.
reason it seems like such a big part is because who did play him, you know?
And hello to
Rancor
Rancor Steve.
Welcome. So glad you're here.
Howdy.
JPRPH1 says, I can't wait until we go through Firewalk with me in the books.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you see, I mean, and we've done Firewalk with me before,
Yeah.
but when you go back and watch that movie again with the context of the previous 2 seasons of the show,
Yeah.
a lot more falls into place.
Sure does.
More than
Are we going to
pieces.
watch the theatrical release or are we going to watch the missing pieces? You're thinking, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah.
I was wondering I was here.
Wow. Because if you watch it with the
I
missing,
mean, you've got like 4 weeks plus to decide. I'm just,
Right,
you
yeah.
know.
I mean, but watching it with the missing pieces, that fan edit, and that's what it is. It is a fan edit.
Yeah.
Was obviously made by someone who cares about the timeline of the show,
Right.
because it pays so much attention to getting everything just. And are there a couple of little things that they could have left out? Sure, but I'm glad that they're there because it brings characters back in. Okay, well, where is this person while this is going on? There's a lot of that. But yeah, you know, we've got time. We can talk about this.
Yeah.
You know, and once we start, you know, and once we throw Mulholland Drive back in there, now that David Lynch has said that Mulholland Drive is in the same universe as Twin Peaks, you know, and once he brought that up, the whole side quest that James had made a lot more sense, because
Yeah.
that was what I had the big issue with in season 2 when I
Yeah.
saw it the first time around. And then David Lynch says, well, okay, Mulholland Drive is the same universe. Ah, James is in Mulholland Drive now.
Yeah.
You know, he is
Kinda,
now
yeah.
in that universe. You know, and that whole I it just makes a whole lot more sense, and I have this appreciation for season 2 that I didn't previously have. All right, well, Sin, I understand we have to kind of play you out, so
yeah, sorry about that.
no worries, no worries. Thank you for being here. I know we're a
Thanks
little
for having
past
me.
your time. Do you have anything coming up?
Monarch, my review for Monarch.
Okay.
Coming up tomorrow, and then an audio review for that show I was mentioning earlier. That can't go up until the 2nd. And I'm going to go see The Mummy and Alien. So my son and I might do an out of the theater sort of quick video. And then on Thursday, I'm going to go see The Fall Guy. So maybe have a review up by Friday or Saturday. So that's it for the immediate.
Nice. All right. And of course, everybody who is not yet subscribed to Sin's channel, her link is in the chat.
Thank you.
So
for
please
that.
feel free to here we go, to jump in and subscribe to Sin's channel.
Watch me blabber on about stories.
Right on. All right. Well, you have a good night, Sin. Take care.
Thanks. You too.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye, Finn.
All righty. But yeah, having Mulholland Drive is basic. Well, I mean that the Monday thing is really more. I don't want to speak for you on your Monday show there, Troy. But I tell you, if I mean, well, Mulholland Drive is something that we were kind of considering, I guess,
Yeah.
going back.
I was saying,
for
I'm
Tuesday.
I'm
Yeah.
probably going to steer clear of just about all of David Lynch on Mondays because I think, assuming that the will is there and the audience is there on Tuesdays, once we've done, season 1, season 2, Firewalk with Me, the books, the season 3, I think it would behoove us to continue and look at Mulholland Drive, look at Inland Empire, and really get the context of some of the things. And I actually think that I'm trying to think whether Mulholland Drive would be better to watch before or after season 3. I've got time to think about it. I'll think about it. Yeah.
And I'm here. Let me look this
Oh,
up.
Sashi's jumping over from Sin's channel. Cool.
Okay.
Well, we're all what do you call it? We're all simulcasting, so you could be on any
Yeah.
of our channels right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on my second channel, Fluff Chick Productions.
Yeah.
I'm on there.
All right. Well, I just recently listened to the Audible version of a book called Catching the Big Fish, which David Lynch wrote and narrates. And he goes briefly into his film career, and he does bring up Inland Empire.
Yep.
And that basically started out of the from the fact that Laura Dern had moved in next to him. They're neighbors, literally neighbors, and they hadn't seen each other since Wild at Heart. And it was just a matter of, we got to do something together again. So he went and he had written this short film for her. I think that was like 30 or 40 minutes long. I don't think it's even available anymore. But and Hello to Dulcimerist. He had kind of written this short film for her that was basically like this monologue, really. And then he got it in his head to write Inland Empire for her. So that's kind of where that came from. Like I said, I haven't seen it, but maybe like a little bits and pieces here and there, because it is on YouTube. You can't find it. But I'm curious to see where it fits in, or if it fits into either Twin Peaks or Mulholland Drive at all. That would be interesting. All right, and good night, Netter. We're about to lose Netter as well. So, okay.
Yeah, I actually would not be opposed. Dulcimerist, I would not be opposed to including Wild at Heart into our Tuesday lineup. And actually maybe even Lost Highway.
Lost Highway's an interesting one because, well, there are people who will say that Mulholland Drive doesn't really have a structure. I disagree with that. I think there is a way that you can interpret that movie. The one that kind of throws me is Lost Highway.
Yeah, Lost Highway is probably the most surreal out of all of the films. Mm-hmm. I'd say the only one that comes close is Eraserhead. But we could even consider Blue Velvet. Blue Velvet is like proto all of these things.
And hello to Oval Nation, and yes, we are awake.
Hey, PJ.
Hi, PJ.
Dulcimerist says the look on Nicolas Cage's face there. The look seems a little.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Enough said. Okay. But you know, I have an interpretation of Eraserhead that I think makes some sense, but Lost Highway is just its own animal because you have all of the identity switches and what the hell is Robert Blake even supposed to be?
That's an excellent point.
Who does he represent?
I have spent way more time on Mulholland Drive than I have on well, really most of the movies, to be honest with you. But definitely more than Lost Highway or Inland Empire. So I have a really great deep dive analysis that I plan to do with you guys when we get there. Mm-hmm. I think Lost Highway would be a bit more challenging for me.
Yeah. Because I even remember Robert Blake saying in an interview that I'm not sure I get it. And this is to David Lynch. He's saying this. He says, I'm not sure I get it, but I trust you to tell me if I'm going off base.
Yeah.
Let me know. Bring me back to what you want, Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can understand that because, like I said, you have all of the identity shifts. Who is what character at what time? And not to go too deep into it, but we know we know Robert Blake and Robert Loggia's characters were involved in whatever criminal stuff they were doing at one point. We know Robert Blake turned against him for whatever reason. I have a theory about that. But if that is all he is, if his whole thing is just about taking Robert Loggia down, why appear to Bill Pullman at all? Why expose himself at that point? And I don't know. I did like so much about that movie. I don't know. I dig it. It looks great. I'm just saying, story-wise, it's the one that I have the least grasp of. If Lost Highway is about how I kind of took the movie at the time as we're no longer people, we're numbers.
That's a perspective.
We're a tax form. We're a resume. But we're not people anymore. If that's what Lynch was trying to get at with Lost Highway, then I get it.
Yeah.
But knowing him, I gotta think there's more to it than that. But that was my interpretation of it at the time.
I think even before we get there, I'm going to go ahead and do another, just for myself, personal rewatch and chew on it a bit. Because if we do get around to doing it, I think I'll be that much more prepared.
Mm-hmm. But failing that, we got to kick a soundtrack out of it.
Oh, yeah.
You got Bowie and you got Nine Inch Nails. You are the perfect drug, the perfect drug. I can't get that song out of my head. Ever since that movie.
Yeah.
And where they use it in the movie is pretty cool, too. Yeah. But, anyway. But, yeah, I mean, yeah, but folks, Sparkwood and 21, stay tuned because we got some stuff planned, man. And it's just like, we're uncovering, it's like that whole onion speech in Shrek, onions have days,
Yeah.
And Twin Peaks has some pretty fucking major layers. And, yeah, stay tuned. We got some stuff planned, man. And maybe a special guest or two later on when we get into season 3.
Definitely. Yeah.
There is one person in particular I would really love to sit and talk with when we get to that point. Let's see. Really love the Straight Story too. Maybe not a Tuesday night watch, but amazing. Yeah, I mean, David Lynch making a G-rated movie about an old man on a tractor.
Right?
Who'd have thought? And a true story as well. So, very interesting film. Because that was the thing that was, because not only was there David Lynch with The Straight Story, but David Mamet, who you brought up earlier on Geeky Geezers, Troy.
Yeah.
That same year, he did a movie called The Winslow Boy, which was a remake, actually. And he had adapted and directed, which was this PG-rated movie about this kid who gets accused of cheating, and he's going to get thrown out of school and all of this. And that was when he was coming off of doing like Glengarry Glen Ross and Oleana, and all these really kind of edgy, hardcore kind of plays and movies and whatnot. And then he turns around and does again, kind of this kind of G-rated, compared to the rest of his stuff, So that was kind of interesting, to have those movies come out at around the same time. Sissy Spacek was great, yeah. Yeah, that would be a good one for Monday, The Straight Story, yeah. Elephant Man, too, yeah. Elephant Man's a good one.
I think if I'm going to do Elephant Man,
Mm-hmm.
I could do an Elephant Man double play. Double feature. There is that Canadian stage play that was televised.
Okay.
That I think was actually a really, really good interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think one of these days I'll do that. I'll do an Elephant Man double feature. Yeah.
Right on. All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up. I think we had a pretty good show here. I want to thank everybody who joined us on all of our respective YouTube, Rumble, and Twitter channels. I want to thank everybody who joined us here in the chat. We're going to go one time around the horn. Connie, what do you have coming up?
Well, I'm planning on starting back up on the 2 projects I had from last week. I couldn't do it because of a few commitments that came up. So hopefully I'll be able to post them up this week coming up on my other channel.
Right on. Troy.
Yep. So tomorrow night, I think I've pretty much decided it's going to be the double feature of Raiders of the Lost Ark and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom for Monday night at the movies. That'll be starting at 8 Central, as I do when I do a double feature. So that'll be Monday. We'll talk more about Tuesday in a second. Thursday, of course, Netters Network. We're going to have Curtis Selby sitting down with us, talking a little bit about the YouTubery and whatever he's got on his mind. It's going to be a lot of fun. Friday, for Last Call, that's 9 Central, 10 Eastern. Boomer and I are going to be talking books. We're going to be talking books and how maybe people need to get back to opening up the physical hard copy of books more often. And if you see a movie coming out that's based on a book, maybe read the book. Maybe it's worth reading the book. Even if you enjoy the movie, I think you might enjoy if not more, you'll get more story from the book. So that's Friday. Of course, Saturday is Big Al Presents. I co-host with him and Netter. And this week we'll be watching the Ralph Bakshi, I think classic or cult favorite, Wizards. Mm-hmm. That brings us around to Sunday with Aged Boomer for Geeky Geezers. That starts at 8 Central, 9 Eastern, bringing you 2 hours of geeky news that you should have heard of that week, and we'll do a little bit of deep dive and maybe a rant or two about it.
Right on. All right, that brings it back around to me. Of course, no mystery movie night at the Regal this week, but there will be in the future. Tuesday, of course, live from Sparkwood in 21, where Troy, Netter, and Boomer are going to be joining me for the next episode of Twin Peaks. Wednesday night at 7:30, I will be joining Jedi Bill for episode 4 and 5 of Fallout. Of course, Thursday, I'll be also joining Jedi Bill for Action Theater at 4:30 p.m., and we will be watching The Equalizer. Of course, as Troy said, Netters Network that night, 10 p.m. Curtis Selby will be the guest. And of course, Curtis under his many aliases. Chris Selby, Selby Curtis, Selby Christian, the Duke of Cornwall, the Duke of Burgundy, Skinny Bones Jones. Man wears many hats. Of course, my weekend update program will be directly after that, where you get to find out what I'm going to be doing next weekend. Of course, Unscripted will return. Episode 50 of this program, The Other Side of Midnight, and Western Cinema Presents, where Jedi Bill and I will be watching Red Sun from 1971 with Charles Bronson and Toshiro Mifune. Kind of a mashup of Western and samurai films. So check that out. Alrighty. That about wraps it up for us. I'd like to thank everyone in the chat, everyone who is watching in the background. We had 62 people watching live at one point. Thank you all very much. From HQ and all points north, south, east, west, and beyond. Good night, take care, stay strong, because this is how we win.